In this week's BlizzPro Weekly, WoW Patch 5.4 gets a release date, the Dark Below trademark saga continues, Blizzard announces the first expansion for Diablo III, Hearthstone enters closed beta, and the Beard takes on bullying in gaming. Hey guys, welcome to the newest episode of BlizzPro Weekly. As always, I'm your fantastically bearded host, Chris Arnone. Alright, first off, let's talk about Twizcast, our official podcast. Now, our official podcast is currently taking auditions for a fourth co-host. They're looking for someone to help cover all Blizzard games, someone who'll be upbeat and energetic, do a great video and radio personality, have a great sense of humor, but is able to think deeply about certain subjects and bring a good balance to the conversation by also playing devil's advocate when need be. Now, to apply, all you have to do is check out the article on BlizzPro.com for instructions on how to send your video audition to the show. Now, Twizcast is keeping this as sort of an open-ended search to find the perfect candidate. So it could happen next week, or it could take several months. But either way, you need to get on this now if you want your shot at being a part of Twizcast, all right? So once again, just head over to BlizzPro and check out how to do that and send us over your video. And, I would do it, but I honestly just don't have the time to do both. All right, let's talk World of Warcraft.
Here's the beef.
Well, it's now official. Tom Chilton confirmed that patch 5.4 will be released September 10th. Now, this goes past a lot of previous announcements that assumed August 27th would be the date, but Blizzard always said that would be the earliest it could possibly drop. Now, like every Blizzard product, it's going to be ready when it's ready. Now, it looks like in this case it took a couple more weeks than we thought it would for it to be ready. Now, some things you can look forward to in this new patch. We've talked about them before, but let's go over it again, all right? Siege of Orgrimmar raid, flex raiding, which allows you to raid between 10 and 25 players and changes difficulty depending on how many people you have in, the new Timeless Isle, and of course the new Connected Realms technology, though that will roll out shortly after 5.4 launches. Most importantly, we want to remind you once again, little PSA here, Valor points will not turn to Justice points when this patch launches, so save up the Valor points now so you can get those cool new gear in 5.4 as soon as it drops. So last week, we told a little story about the US trademark by Blizzard, the Dark Below, which then later we found out could be a total hoax because a bunch of people started trademarking random shit for Blizzard like Corgis Unleashed. However, we've got a little new information. It doesn't seem like it might be as much of a hoax now because the Dark Below was also trademarked in Europe and went through all the proper procedures and channels. So Blizzard does officially own the trademark, the Dark Below. And it leads us to believe this really could be the name for the next expansion in World of Warcraft that will more than likely be announced at BlizzCon. And of course, BlizzPro, myself included, will be there to cover everything that they talk about. Let's talk Diablo III.
Stay a while and listen.
So, this really wasn't much of a secret. Everybody knew it was coming. Last week we talked about it on the show. There were a bunch of speculation articles about the lore. By the way, Nineball pretty much hit the nail on the head. Not to mention, Blizzard actually had a website up for it. The first Diablo III expansion is titled Reaper of Souls, officially. And here's some cool details we have gotten so far, at least that we have until the press kits come out. Now, the new class is called Crusader. It's kind of a mid-melee/range class. Level cap's going up to 70. Loot 2.0, also called Smart Drops, you get lesser drops, but they have a higher chance of being tweaked for the character you're currently playing. And of course, we know some of those are at home are whining that they're not removing the auction house, but hopefully this will help, get rid of that complete dependency upon the auction house to have good gear. Paragon 2.0. It's now account-wide, shared across your characters, and there is no longer a cap on there. For the end game, they're now going to have loot runs, which are 15 to 20-minute dungeons that are completely randomized. The Mystic is returning to Enchant, allowing you to reroll an affix on a rare or legendary item. Also, transmogrifying. And it is playable right now at Gamescom. So if you're one of our European people and you're at Gamescom, why the fuck are you watching the show? Go play Diablo with, the expansion. Hello. All right. The first trailer was also released, and like all Blizzard cinematics, it's fucking awesome. The expansion will feature, as we thought, Malthael, the Angel of Death, formerly the Angel of Wisdom, until Tyrael took the role at the end of Diablo III. He's missing, and he comes back for the Black Soulstone. Now the trailer shows him getting into a fight with Tyrael while claiming that no one can beat death, and he takes the stone. This is planned to be a much darker expansion compared to the original game. Also, the best part about this, alright, you ready for this, alright? Loot 2.0, Paragon 2.0, loot runs, all that planned to be released pre-expansion, so you will not need Reaper of Souls for these features. As of now, like with other Blizzard games, the expansion will primarily consist of a new act in the story, a new hero, and a new level cap. Now, JR actually said on Twitter after this was announced that the title of the expansion should probably be Diablo III, all the shit you wanted in the original game. But if this expansion lives up to what Lord of Destruction did for Diablo II, we could see a lot of fans who've been bitching and moaning being quite happy with the game for several years to come. Stock StarCraft 2.
Want a piece of me, boy?
Paul, our cameraman, finally played Heart of the Swarm.
Pull up a chair by the heart.
It's here! It's finally here! The Hearthstone Beta launched a day after our last recording when we were complaining about the beta not being here yet. Of course it did. So by the time you actually saw the last video, it was already out in closed beta, as most of the commenters actually told us. The BlizzPro staff has been playing the hell out of this game. There are some veterans to CCGs, some who are brand new, and the consensus in our staff so far is this. The game is fun and addicting as hell. So far, there have been really no complaints for the most part in how the game is played. The only real complaint so far is the reward system. Right now, it's a little tough to progress in the game without spending real money. The rewards require significant grinding and seem only to reward you if you actually win instead of just playing, which are very frustrating to a lot of new players. Now, since this is one of the most frequently given feedback items, and it's the beta, this might be something that Blizzard will tweak. However, devil's advocate here, this is a freemium game, alright? The whole idea is you don't have to pay anything, they're making their money off of the in-game transactions. So that might not get tweaked as much as you'd like. That said, JR and the managing editor for our own Hearthstone site, Robert Wing, have been owning faces in the game. Apparently that's their way of saying they're ponying people's asses, alright? JR has played and beaten several internet pro gaming personalities such as Day9, Robert Simpson, and Mr. Bitter. He's been streaming his gameplay on twitch.tv/BlizzPro nearly every night and currently just moved up to Masters rank in the game. He's been primarily playing a Spell Power Rogue deck, and he's got the deck list up on hearthstone.blizzpro.com. So you want to check it out. Also, we just gave away several beta keys this week, and we're all out right now. Sorry, congrats to those who won. But if you follow BlizzPro on Twitter, we might get some more in the near future. Hard to say, but that is always the best way to keep up with what we're doing. Alright, it's time for me to take over the BlizzPro bitch session. We've spoken at length in the past about how ridiculous the Diablo III haters can be. All the venom and just terrible things that they throw at the people who are creating this game. Now, some people like to say, it's the nature of doing something on the internet. If you have a prevalence on the internet, then dealing with the sort of id unleashed and how horrible people can be without thinking, that's just how it is. People don't consider that there's a real human being on the receiving end of those comments. And this doesn't just apply to Diablo 3. This is gaming as a whole. Recently, I believe it was Polygon had an article that was talking about developers, how they're starting to now create these support groups, and some people are leaving this industry forever because of how harsh this is. But let me get two things very clear up front. Alright? Just because you're on the internet, it is not an excuse for you being an asshole. Period. Number two, victims of bullying and abuse are never to blame. Ever. Period. There are no valid arguments against this point. They do not need to toughen up or grow a thicker skin. The victim is not to blame. This is having an effect, alright? Talented developers are forming these support groups to deal with these abuses. Some really talented, brilliant people are leaving this industry forever. They are walking away because it's too hard to deal with this online bullying. I've been online for several years now. I was a full-time game journalist. I had some rough days, and people throw the stupidest, venomous shit at you. And yeah, I grew a bit of a thick skin, but some days it was just too much. And I had to walk away, just ignore the internet for an evening. And I can't imagine when you're actually producing a product like a game and to get the sort of venom that the Diablo III developers get when they're trying and working their asses off to create a great game. That's got to be so hard. Another thing to keep in mind, different people react differently to bullying. So while what you say online, you think, well, somebody said that to me, it wouldn't be a big deal. Okay, that's you. All right? It's not on any of us to judge how valid or invalid someone else's reaction is to something. Some people are more sensitive. We need to be mindful of that. Now, to be fair, I'm probably preaching to the choir. I'm sure you're sitting there and you're saying, dude, I'm not an asshole online. I don't tell people these things. That's fine. But here's the deal. Whether you're a victim of bullying or you're just a bystander, speak up. If you're in a chat room, you're in an online game or a forum where someone is bullying, don't just let the moderator handle it. Report it. Meet it head on. These bullies are likely just the minority, the squeaky wheels ruining it for the rest of us. Stand up to them. Stand together. Make it known that this behavior will not be tolerated. This industry is huge, but truly great talents are rare in any industry. Let's not drive them away with bullying. Let's rally together to drive the bullies away instead. All right, it's enough for my bitch session and this video. Of course, you can check me out on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. I'm a Goodreads author. Of course, subscribe and listen to Twizcast, our official podcast. And go to BlizzPro.com. News, reviews, interviews, everything you need to know about Blizzard Entertainment games. Steer beardy, and don't be assholes, my friends.